Good afternoon. I am Carol Backos, faculty member in the Department of Near Eastern Languages and Cultures and acting chair of the study of religion. It is my honor to welcome you to the celebration of the humanities at UCLA. Yesterday, the UCLA class of 2012 graduated in our commencement ceremony in Drake Stadium. I'm sure many of you were there. Today, we honor the students of the humanities with a celebration that recognizes their individual achievements. In a few minutes, the students, faculty, and official party will enter. Before we begin this celebration, I would like to tell you a little about the wonderful building we are in, Royce Hall. Royce Hall is UCLA's landmark building and is the symbol of the university. Royce Hall is one of the 4 original structures planned in the Westwood campus for the new University of California, Los Angeles, which had been established in 1919. Groundbreaking for Royce Hall occurred in 1927 and was completed in less than 2 years. The first UCLA student assembly on the new campus in Westwood took place in this very auditorium on September 23, 1929. Still home to many humanities departments of the College of Letters and Science, Royce Hall has been the venue for some of UCLA's most important events, speeches, and renowned performing arts, from Albert Einstein to the New York Philharmonic, to John Kennedy, to the Bolshoi Ballet, and most recently, former Bill Clinton. Royce Hall has played host to the brilliant, the creative, and the controversial figures of our time. Before we begin, I ask the audience to turn off their cell phones and ask that photos be taken in your seats, please, instead of standing in the aisles. We are ready. Family and friends of our graduates, I am proud to present the class of 2012 from the humanities in UCLA's College of Letters and Science. We are ready to begin. Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce UCLA's Dean of Humanities, Professor David Scoobert. Dean Scoobert is a scholar of ancient Chinese, Greek, and Latin literature. Since coming to UCLA in 1996, he has published an award-winning book and numerous articles on early Chinese historical writing, literature, philosophy, and oratory. He has served as co-director of the Center for Chinese Studies and chair of the Department of Asian Languages and Cultures, and was proud to receive the UCLA Staff Assembly Faculty Staff Partnership Award in 2011. Please join me in welcoming the Dean of the Division of Humanities, David Scoobert.
Thank you very much, Carol. I'd like to take a moment, first of all, to congratulate all of our graduates here today, and to wish all of you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Now, before I introduce our keynote speaker for the day, I do want to say a few words to you about the project of the humanities. And I promise this is probably your last professorial lecture at UCLA for the time being, so please do listen and bear with me for a moment. More and more, I think of the humanities as a matter of listening. In some cases, it's a matter of learning the languages and the cultural contexts that we will need to listen to and understand the messages that have been preserved for us across a span of many centuries or across a distance of many thousands of miles. The scholars here on stage behind me, and the scholars here in the audience before me, these are people who have given themselves to the rigors of reading in the languages of the world, both past and present, and to the rigors of listening correctly to the messages, sometimes of reverence, of celebration, of warning, of love, of anger, sometimes just plain silliness that have come down to us from the past. In this way, all of you have become, because of this training of yourselves in listening, intermediaries for, and in some ways, representatives of the past, messengers from the past and from other places, people who are capable of speaking for the whole human family, to the whole human family. This course of learning has its effects on the learner. It's not just that by reading difficult texts you've exposed yourselves to and accepted as your own the very highest standards in written expression. It's not just that by discussing the most challenging questions of interpretation and reasoning with your professors and your TAs and your classmates, you've matched wits with some of the greatest writers and philosophers of our world, and have along the way trained yourselves in the art of oral expression and the etiquette of the meeting room. These skills in written and oral expression, in reasoning, and in intellectual exchange will, of course, be of enormous value to you, both in your personal lives and in the specific matter of winning a livelihood for yourselves. But I think there's something deeper still. Your reading in literary and historical texts and your contemplation of works of art and of music has given you something that no narrowly vocational training could have given you. You've joined an old community of human beings who've made it their business to consider the human condition with care and with fearless curiosity, to see clearly how far we've come and how far we may have fallen, and in the end, by knowing what humanity has been, to protect our basic humanity, even in times of rapid change. Now, at this point, I'm inevitably reminded of something from my own field, here specifically a line from the early Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, who urged us to 勿恶而不恶于恶. And it is calculated to sound funny in the original Chinese, too. What it means is to treat things as things and never to be made a thing among things. To treat things as things and never to become a thing among things. You're always going to be exercising your human agency among things. I think what he demanded of us is that we remember, whether we're in the midst of material comfort and technological advance, or in the midst of poverty, deprivation, that as human beings, we are the free arbiters of value. We humanize this world of ours, and we do it by listening to each other and by listening to the past. So whether you're headed for graduate school, or for a year abroad, or for the world of work, or for a time of creative endeavors on your own, you go forth from UCLA with a special ability to hear, to understand, to speak, and to humanize. For this, I congratulate you. Next, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Stephen Milner. A distinguished alumnus of the English department, Steve is an accomplished attorney and CPA at one of the nation's largest accounting firms, Squar Milner. He currently serves as a managing partner in the firm's tax department and forensic bankruptcy and litigation services department. He also specializes as a consultant on issues ranging from business and financial analysis to strategic and operational planning. Before his leadership position at Squar Milner, Steve served as vice president and corporate controller for Bircher Real Estate and senior tax consultant with Deloitte & Touche. An expert in tax planning, compliance, and controversy, Steve is a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Orange County Bar Association, California State Bar, and the California Society of Public Accountants, to name just a few. In addition to his professional endeavors, Steve also serves as a member of the board, chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee at J. Sarah Catholic High School. After graduating from UCLA, Steve received his JD from Pepperdine University and his Master's of Laws in Taxation from George Washington University. A proud Bruin and alumnus of the Humanities, Steve recently participated as a panelist for the Department of English's alumni panel, where he shared with our current students his insights into the importance of a degree in English and more generally in liberal arts, and the positive impact of his UCLA degree on his professional and personal life. I'm honored and delighted that Steve has joined us again today for this momentous occasion. Please join me in welcoming Steve Milner.
Thank you very much, Dean. Good afternoon, honored guest, distinguished faculty, fellow Bruins, and their family and friends. It is my great honor to be at the university I love so much, at Royce Hall, a building I love so much. I need to tell you a little bit about my family. My great-grandfather was an architect and engineer. He helped design the Santa Monica Pier. My grandfather and father were both aeronautical engineers. So you could imagine my family's great consternation when I told them I wanted to study English literature. When I told my father, his response, which is still ringing in my ears 30 years later, "What the hell are you ever going to do with that?" I never had the heart to tell him I was concentrating in medieval and Elizabethan literature. The man could only take so much. But let me come back to my father's pithy little question later. In my senior year, my roommate asked me if I wanted to go on a ski trip with his family to Utah. While I was there, I learned that his father was an MIT-trained engineer. I think you know where this is going. When he asked me what I was studying, I told him with great pride, English literature. And he told me, "You know, there are only two people in my family that ever studied English. Both became teachers and then eventually housewives." While I may not be the brightest bulb in the tanning bed, I think with respect to me, and with all due respect to teachers and housewives, I don't think he meant this as a compliment. I think he was inferring that my possibilities were very limited. But this day's not about me. It's about you. So let's see who we have here. I've seen some of the signs. In the front, we have applied linguistics. A proud group. And what are people going to say about you? They're going to say, "That's languages, right?" Something like that. We come to the next group, one of my favorites, art history. You guys are absolutely pathetic. You guys are sitting there looking at pictures all day, aren't you? Classics. Where's our classics group? Greeks, Romans? Yeah, that's practical. Musicology. Gee, I would have thought that would have sounded better. No, okay, just me. Near Eastern languages and cultures. Salam. I actually asked my Egyptian partners before I came over here how to say a greeting in Arabic. I don't understand all that they said, but I do recall them kind of going down the hall saying idiot. And of course, I think the largest group, philosophy. You guys are worst of all. It's the musicology guys were at least listening to music when they were alone in their room. You guys were sitting there just thinking. Study of a religion. I'm a little superstitious, so I don't make fun of that one. This is an impressive group, but with the exception of the last, let me ask you something that I think at least a few of your parents are asking. What the hell are you ever going to do with that? With the exception of religion, which I think you actually may not have a job in this life, but the next one you've got covered. In the commencement announcement, it says, "The humanities promote reflection on the human condition and a sensitive and critical inquiry into how individuals in different times and places have understood themselves and their worlds. Education in the humanities provides a deep knowledge of language, literature, philosophy, and arts." I would have thought you got a cheer there. "As well as examination of contributions of thinkers, writers, artists, and their traditions from all over the world." Really? Does that help you answer my father's question? This is where I can help. I'm still a little perplexed, as I'm sure a number of the members of the faculty are, as to why they asked an accountant and a tax attorney to be the commencement speaker. I figured Tim Robbins, who was in my class, the famous director and actor, was busy. But actually, I think the reason why they asked me is because I'm very practical. And let's face it, you all could use a little dose of practicality. So let's talk about the sordid topic of coin that comes from a job. Yes, a job. That thing that puts food on the table. All kidding aside, from an employer's perspective, you are invaluable. More than you know as you sit here. We need people who can think and analyze, and we know that's what a humanities degree says about you. We need people who are able to express their opinions, but understand that of another's. Think and analyze and express their points of view while understanding another's. You are going to have to deal with a whole lot of people who think differently than you. Some may think up, some may think down, some may think right, some may think left, some may not think at all. Have you met your crosstown rivals? It's cheap every time I do it, but it always feels good. Because I got to tell you, bagging on the Trojans is always a good thing. Modern business and employment, though, is not like CNBC and Fox News, where linear, rigid thought is the accepted norm. Instead, the modern business world is about building consensus to reach a desired result. Building consensus to reach a desired result. To do so successfully, one must understand those with differing opinions. Who will do that better than someone who has been trained to do that? That's you! Really? Even in the political realm, consensus must be achieved, if for nothing more than one's own party. In the 20th and 21st century, only 3 of 19 presidents were science majors per se. Warren Harding, Herbert Hoover, and Jimmy Carter. Do you think that anywhere in the country there's a science commencement going on where someone is saying, yeah, those are my boys, take it home? Some of you may be sitting here thinking, well, that's because all the other people majored in the humanities and the social sciences and they couldn't get any other job besides in politics. May be true. I will say that this year, for the first time, there's an English major running for president. I was encouraged to see that someone in the humanities is coming out and running for the president. But all high-level platitudes aside, what are you going to do? I find too often humanities majors place limitations on themselves. They think their careers are limited to working at the local Starbucks and Barnes & Noble. And they may be good at it. But your degree was not intended to limit you. It was intended to make your choices limitless. You did not study so hard to become a neuter. Many of you will proceed to graduate school. The best of luck to you. But there's a lot of other people sitting here squeamishly wondering, what am I going to do? It's to this group that I will focus. Employers look at you somewhat like most people look at a cake coming out of the oven. Yes, a cake. I know the philosophy majors are saying, he's talking about perception. No, I'm actually talking about cake. For God's sakes, get your head out of the clouds. The religious study majors are saying, I can't eat cake, I'm on a ritualistic fast. Give mine to the art history majors, they'll eat anything. You see, when you bake cookies, they can come right off the tray and into the mouth. And yes, they are yummy. But a cake typically has to cool first before it is frosted. But once it is frosted, it is not only tasty, it is a thing of beauty. So all you need is a little frosting. Let me give you some tips. Where are you going to get practical training, the frosting that you need? Well, go where your entire generation goes for everything. Go online. For example, UCLA Online provides hundreds of certificate programs for anyone without prior experience or education. That's you, as described by UCLA, so it must be true. Completing a certificate program can take less time and significantly less money than a graduate degree, and is also an ideal way to quickly improve your professional skills and gain practical training. Listen to some of these things. These certificate programs range from architecture, interior design, art, design, photography, building, construction, business and finance, communications, education, engineering, technology, entertainment, healthcare, information systems, landscape, and real estate. That's a lot of stuff. Does this sound limiting to you? Is there any reason why someone who can think and analyze can't also learn? As a student of medieval and Elizabethan literature, I never thought I would be a financial advisor and accountant. That may have seemed too mundane at the time, but I love what I do, and I use my degree every day. So for God's sakes, pick a direction and go with it, and you'll be happy that you did. Not all of you will go to grad school to have wonderful careers, but you will all have wonderful careers. So fellow Bruins and graduates of less than apparent useful majors, if anyone from this great day forward asks you, what are you going to do with your fancy degree from UCLA? You look them dead in the eye and you say, I can do anything I damn well want to do. Thank you so much for having me. It's my great honor to be here.